pretty big difference. And next up, we have, we're not very creative with moving things. I remember I was traveling on Sawmill with my mom earlier this week, and we saw a car with a mattress on top, and she's like, "That looks dangerous." And I said, "That's nothing. You haven't seen anything." We would see all types of things while traveling throughout the area. Here's a guy taking chickens on a bicycle. He was a kid, a huge stack of wood, more stuff than I carry probably. Here's some alive chickens just on the handlebars. They're just moving. And then, I've always, I guess kind of what I've been saying, throughout my travels, all the time, in every country, people are always inviting me in. And, I haven't cycled across the U.S. yet, so I can't really say this, but, I guess I'm not quite, positive traveling to the U.S., but people would be so willing to take me in. So that concludes my presentation. Thank you very much for coming. If there's any questions at this point, I'd be more than happy to answer them. But thank you very much. Yeah.
Luke, were you surprised by the generosity when you first started thinking about doing this trek? I would think maybe you were a little bit nervous about that. Were you expecting?
Before starting the trip, it wasn't like the reason to be going. And the reason to be going the trip was, to see, Nepal, to see Thailand, just to see, the mountains, see the ancient, sites. It wasn't so much like being invited to all these homes, but so it wasn't what I was expecting, but it quickly turned out like that was the most important part to me, for me. Yeah.
Any mechanical adventures with your bike?
Oh yeah. Are there any mechanical adventures with my bike? Let me tell you, before starting the trip, I knew almost nothing about bike mechanics. So I would, I had spare parts with my bicycles, but I didn't really know what to do with them. So I would have a handbook, like I had a guidebook. So I remember one time I was out in the middle of the mountains in China on the Tibetan Plateau, and the chain just kept falling off my bicycle, and I had no idea how to fix it. Fortunately, I had an extra chain, and I was able to figure out a solution to this problem. But so there were bike mechanical failures. Definitely. Any questions?
Yeah. How much weight were you hauling around?
How much weight?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not positive, but when I flew home, you could have 50 pounds. So I had 50 pounds for my bicycle and 50 pounds for my luggage, and I was under. But then sometimes you would have to carry like 3 or 4 days worth of food or water. So sometimes you're carrying 10 kilos of water and 10 kilos of potatoes. So, lots. Yeah.
Where are you going next?
I am going to Nepal, the exact same place I started next. For two reasons, really. Out in Azerbaijan, where I stopped, it's winter. So India, Nepal, it's going to be a lot warmer. And then the girl I'm cycling with, she's always wanted to go to India. Her original plan was to go to India to begin with, but she ran into the same problems we did, where the border between Myanmar and India was closed. So she was heading to India, then she got stopped at the border, so she turned around. So now the idea is to wait out winter in India. And from there, so we do Nepal and India, and then we'll fly, maybe, we're not really sure where. Yeah.
What were the most extreme temperatures that you experienced?
So the coldest was out on the Tibetan Plateau. So on the Tibetan Plateau, it's like a month you're above 10,000 feet, and you're doing these maybe 15,000 foot passes almost every other day. So it'd be times where it'd be in the negatives at night. And you'd wake up and your water bottle was completely frozen, and that was very cold. And then the hottest was Thailand, where I think my dad, we were cycling through Thailand one day. It was extremely hot, and he's beat. And so we show up, and we stop. We see this little like one-person store. You know, it's like someone's house, and they just have a little store and a little bench right there. And my dad is so beat. He buys the water, and he just lays on the bench for the next hour in front of this like lady's house as he tries to, get back his energy. But it was like 100 degrees and incredibly humid.
How do you prepare for that? Do you have all the clothing and different?
Well, for Thailand, it's just the key is lots of water, I guess. But for when I was in Tibet and it was really cold, I think every time we hit a town, we bought a new pair of socks because your feet would be so cold. Yeah.
You have a lot of positive experience. What was your most horrifying?
The most horrifying. So, if I'm going to be honest, the most horrifying was when I was stuck, either in China or in Mongolia. I was stuck in these like really bad thunderstorms. So really, for me, it was like the weather was the worst. It wasn't the people. It was like you'd be cycling and it'd be a blue sky, a blue, gorgeous day, and then all of a sudden this thunderstorm would hit. Especially out in Mongolia and some parts of China, it's just really open, and you'd be out there, no buildings or anything, and all of a sudden you'd have this 50-foot dust wall coming at you, then the rain's picking up, and these huge bolts of lightning, and I wanted to cry. Yeah.
What type of training did you do before the trip? Did you do any training?
Oh, what type of training? The beautiful thing about cycle touring is that you're not racing, so if you get tired, you just stop, or you can just go slow. So really, I didn't do much training at all. I was living in Japan, and I didn't have a car. I was just cycling to work. I was cycling to like the grocery store, but that's like 15, 20 minutes, and that was really it. But so the first couple months are hard for me, I guess. But so I really didn't do much training. But when you get tired, you just stop and take a break. Yeah.
What do you think about the light pollution?
The light pollution. Out in like Central Asia and Mongolia, it's just absolutely gorgeous with the stars. Sometimes you'd be in Mongolia, like you would just look up and you'd be seeing shooting stars every few minutes. It's absolutely gorgeous when you're out there.
How many miles did you do average today?
Oh, how many miles did I do average? So I probably did about 60 or 70 on the average, but it really depends on the country you're in. So for example, in Vietnam, it's like flat. Especially on the coast, it's flat and paved, so you can crank out 100 miles, no problem. Out in I think Kazakhstan was my shortest day, when I did like 5 miles because I was on this like old sandy creek bed, and I was pushing my bicycle up for a day. Yeah.
What was your favorite part about your trip?
The favorite part? What was my favorite part about the trip? I think, just being able to meet people and have those interactions, I think, is what, really got me, inspired me. I think there's something to say that every time before we would start cycling, you're looking at the map, and, at this point, it's just it's just what you see on Google Maps, it's different colors of green on this road, and, you don't really know what to expect. And then after you cycle through this area, you have all these impressions, you have all these people you've met, you've had, this different terrain you've seen. So, for me, that was the most special part for me. Yeah.
You said Google Maps, so you were able to use technology? Or?
Yeah, I actually use a program called Maps.me, which is perhaps less popular than Google Maps, but it's really good for cycle tourists. And but you can use GPS without Wi-Fi or an SD card.
Oh, okay.
So you don't need to be connected for that.
Okay.
So that's how I got around GPS. Yeah.
I'm curious for people about you and where you were from, and if they
found out you were from the United States, what effect did that have on her and their?
Yeah. I mean, people are always asking you questions.